Hi everyone. Published in 1839 as part of Chopin's Opus 28 Preludes, the second prelude in A minor can melodically be divided into 4 sections, each essentially using the same melodic contour or part thereof. The melodic contour of the first 3 sections comprises 2 motifs, while the final section uses only the B motif, which is slightly modified with this A note held into the following bar and the final tied half notes removed. Modifications in length of the initial note of the first 3 sections also occurs. Sections 1 and 2 begin a fifth apart and are in terms of their melodic intervals identical. And section 3, while essentially the same as sections 1 and 2, here ascends a second, while the first 2 sections ascend a third. This discrepancy means that while sections 1 and 2 both descend a fourth overall, and outline what may be analysed as incomplete E and B minor 7th chords, section 3 descends a fifth and outlines a D minor triad, which if connected with the notes of the 4th section, outline a B half diminished 7th chord. This prelude's harmony is often obscured with use of chromatic upper and lower neighbour notes and pedals. Here, for example, the 5th of minor E dominant harmony is prolonged with this A sharp chromatic lower neighbour note, and here E and E flat notes sound as upper neighbour notes. While E flat is clearly chromatic, inclusion of the E natural obscures this harmony so that it may be heard as both the major subtonic or minor dominant 7th chords. Harmonically, sections 1 and 2 use similar progressions. Section 1 uses the following progression, which, especially if the final chord is heard as the dominant, corresponds with the incomplete E minor 7th chord of the melody, and section 2 uses this progression, which also essentially corresponds with its melodic incomplete minor 7th chord, although 2 notes of the final half diminished 7th chord must be lowered to conclude this progression on a B minor 7th chord. As you can see, the root movement of both progressions follows the same basic contour, and in relation to A minor, these sections may be heard as highlighting that key's minor dominant and supertonic chords. The 3rd section's harmony moves from the diminished 7th chord of E through a French augmented 6th chord to tonic A minor harmony, before then concluding on submediant and supertonic harmony. Apart from the initial D sharp diminished chord, The root movement of these chords outline a similar progression to those of sections 1 and 2, while the chords of the final progression include movement between dominant and major supertonic harmony. This alternation between dominant and supertonic harmonies here reflects their use throughout the work, with, as we've already seen, the first and second sections highlighting these chords, and sections 3 and 4 essentially outlining an extended perfect cadence in A minor, a cadence which is then restated in the final few bars. A closer look at the work reveals several elements which reinforce what's already been said. For example, perhaps there can be heard a greater orientation towards G major in section 1 and D major in section 2, as these chords both include their own dominants, which both follow their literal chords of resolution, and then proceed to harmonies which may be heard as a return to those chords. This chord, for example, as we've seen, may be heard as either a G or E minor chord, and this chord, through slight modification, along with sounding as a B minor chord, may also be heard as D major. In other words, G and D are the relative major keys of the two chords already highlighted in these bars. These major chords, however, better accommodate the combined melody notes of each section. For example, when taken collectively, the notes of section 1's melody produces an incomplete A Dorian hexachord, while section 2's notes collectively produce an incomplete E Dorian hexachord, and the notes of sections 3 and 4 collectively produce the D Dorian mode. Related to their parent keys, these are the second modes of G, D, and C major, the keys represented in sections 1 and 2 by the highlighted chords, and in sections 3 and 4 by the move to the final cadence in C major's relative minor. I hope you found this useful. Thanks for watching. See you next time.